You're going to rotate. Basically, you're going to rotate the bezel. We're going to ask people to rate the bezel sound from 1 to 3. Like who sounds the best without knowing what watch is what, and then we'll say.
Hey everyone, this is Craig from Wrist Enthusiast. I'm here with Derek and Ben. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. How's everyone been doing since last time?
You know, a lot of watch events.
I'm doing well. Lots of watch events right now.
Lots of watch events. I feel like since Watches and Wonders, there's been nonstop watch events. So
that's what I've been seeing. Like you guys are constantly going to different events. Ben, how was your half marathon last time?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was very cool. I thought about wearing like one of the Norcane because Norcane sponsors that race, which is so cool. For the race to bring it back to watches, but no, it was cool.
How did you do?
I didn't get the time I wanted. It was like under 2.5 hours, which is like decent, but I finished.
Yeah,
that's what mattered to me.
That's all that matters.
So that was cool. Trained a lot for it, and we'll do another one in the fall probably as well.
Yeah, the people that like walk the whole entire way, I'm like, like I ran cross country in high school, so I don't know. Maybe everyone's a winner.
Again, I'm not a runner, so I find it very impressive.
You run to the subway.
I run to the subway. Yeah. I only sprint, short distance, but I find it super impressive that you were able to do a half marathon. And probably in the fall, the weather will be cooler, so it might actually help out too if it was warm that day.
It was hot and humid at the end of it, so everybody was getting
Are you going to do a marathon, like a full marathon ever?
After that, I could barely walk, so I don't know when that'll happen. That'll be like a year or two. I should do one in my life, but I like kind of the half marathon.
This may be dating me, but did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the episode where Barney runs the marathon
and he says it's so easy,
and then he gets like stuck to the subway and he like can't move because his legs don't work?
I remember that episode.
That's what I'm picturing Ben like.
That's pretty much what happened to me. Great show, by the way.
Yeah, great show.
Phenomenal show.
So before we kind of get into what we're going to talk about, let's do a wrist check of what we're all wearing, and I think what one of us is wearing will lead into what we're going to talk about. So, Ben, what are you wearing today?
I'm wearing my Tudor Submariner. This is probably my most frequently worn watch, and it's not close. It's from 1974, 7061/0. I love it. It's got patina. It's got character.
The creamy indexes patina are so nice.
It's also wildly comfortable, which I think it's kind of hard to understand. Like wearing a vintage watch, you would think it's not.
What's the size on that? Like 38?
40.
It's a 40?
I think it's
pretty slim.
Yeah. It's slim.
Rivet bracelet's super nice.
The rivet bracelet.
It has so it has all the Rolex markings on it, on the bracelet, on the crown. Is it
on the
Rolex?
crown?
Yeah.
The bezels actually can be fit to a Rolex Submariner from the same era.
Oh, cool.
Case back to, and like only the hands, the dial, and the movement are Tudor. So it's very cool. I got from my friend Eric Wind. He's been great. I traded a modern Rolex for it. That's
a vintage Rolex Submariner from like the same year. What's the price difference going to be between?
If you get one in like really good condition, and I'm no expert, so I don't want to be like that guy, but like if you get a Submariner from there, you could be spending over $20,000.
Wow.
What is a Tudor?
And this is like just under $10,000.
Okay.
So
wow.
You're getting like, and a lot of the value in this is like, yeah, it's Tudor. It's a phenomenal. It's one of my favorite brands ever. But also like because Rolex Submariners from this era are so popular, a lot of these parts are worth a lot of money because Rolex is not making them anymore.
Yeah.
So if you want the original stuff, like the bezel's worth $3,000 or something like that.
Wow.
So it's cool.
And the crystal is, I can see it from here, but like there's almost no distortion.
Dome.
It's not sapphire. Is that right?
The original crystal?
It's not. So it's not the original crystal. There was a company, and I don't know exactly the origins, but it's owned by a Greg Petronzi of True Patina, and Eric is an investor in it. And essentially, it's like a recreation of these crystals because they're so hard to make and they break so easily.
Yeah.
And I think it helps with water resistance. I'm not 100% sure. You can look it up, but that's the crystal on here.
I assume you're not actually going to take it in the water.
No, absolutely not. That's why I got a summer watch for this summer because I do a lot of swimming and fishing and all that stuff. So I don't want to like, it's a little scary, but it is pressure tested to three bar, so 30 meters. Yeah.
3 bar. Oh, wow.
Yeah, they pressure tested it.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. But yeah,
super nice.
love it. Yeah,
I love it.
Nice. So,
Derek?
and I knew that you guys were bringing a diver today. Well, I know Craig is bringing a diver today. So I wore one of my favorite divers that I've gotten
Is
in
it
the
Grand
last
Seiko?
year. It is a Grand Seiko in disguise in a way.
Yeah.
So it says Seiko. This is Seiko's recreation of their first diver watch in 1965. Obviously, we know that Rolex and Blancpain were the first in the entire industry to make dive watches. So Seiko's design is inspired by those early versions. This actually looks like a Blancpain skin diver, like the 50 Fathoms.
Oh yeah.
So this was actually designed by this guy named Taro Tanaka, and he would later go on to create Grand Seiko's Grammar of Design. So the whole reason Grand Seiko has their layers of, Zaratsu finishing, the double faceted, all these like little details, is because of the same guy who designed this watch. It's one of my favorite like under the radar divers. Guess the price on this watch. It came out last year, so this is a
Okay.
recreation. So it's a brand new.
It has a
piece.
Grand Seiko movement in it.
So it doesn't have a Grand Seiko movement. There is another model that does. I'm mentioning all this because I know people who listen will know about all this stuff. That the other model has an 8L movement. This one has a 6L, which is a thinner version of basically what the 8L is.
Okay, so my guess would be like 2,500.
Okay. What about you, Ben?
I was gonna guess around there, but I'll go 23.
Okay. So at retail, it's actually 35.
Oh,
3,500.
wow.
first, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that surprised a lot of people. Obviously, there were a lot of comments when this watch came
Yeah.
out, like, that's crazy. Why would you spend $3,000 on Seiko? But actually, Seiko's made other versions of this watch, and this is actually the least expensive out of the 62 MAS style they've created.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Do you sell this?
we did, but it's limited edition, so we sold out. And
Okay.
yeah, we sold every piece at
How
full
many did
price
you get?
retail. Probably like no more than 10 pieces.
Okay.
And we still get people asking today. It's the whole story of it's the first Seiko's first dive watch, same designer from Grand Seiko, and it's basically modernized for today, and it's in a 38 millimeter size.
Yeah.
In the previous, they made 40 millimeters. I've owned many versions of the 40 millimeter versions, and those would be retail like 4,500. There's one for $6,000.
Wow.
So when this came out 3,500, I was like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This is like the least expensive, and it's the most close to the original. Same size of 38, gray dial. I put it on a gray Tropic strap so it can make the colors match. And
I've seen you post it a lot, and every single time I see it, it's so
it's
cool.
super nice.
yeah, so it's vintage inspired, but it is definitely a modern watch.
Yeah.
And this is definitely the dive watch I've been wearing the most. It's one of the most worn watches I've had since last year. This is the watch I'll take with me hiking, camping, swimming, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, I'll have to get a better look when we.
Yeah, I'll show you guys up close a
I
little bit
need to.
more.
I want
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
So I am wearing a first for first dive watch of a company. So I'm wearing the Wren Diver One Aqua, and Derek hasn't seen it yet.
I
Ben
haven't
has
seen it.
So Wren is actually a portmanteau.
can
Am
I see it?
taking
Yeah.
I'm taking it off.
You know what?
So I'm gonna go like this,
I'm
and
gonna
then
take my watch
I'll
off so
trade
you guys
it.
can
I
look
don't
at
know.
this
You can do
while.
whatever.
yeah. I'll-
This is how a real watch discussion
Yeah.
goes. Someone's talking,
yeah.
we're looking at stuff.
So it's the Wren Diver One Aqua, and Wren is actually the house brand for Wrist Enthusiast, and I've been developing it for over a year. And Wren, obviously, we call it Wren because, a wren is a bird, but which like with a dive watch, it's kind of like weird. But Wren is actually a portmanteau of Wrist and Enthusiast, so WR for Wrist, EN for Enthusiast. So we didn't want to when we created, or when I created my own brand, I didn't want to kind of hit people over the head with the fact that Wren is like Wrist Enthusiast. The only reference to Wrist Enthusiast is actually on the crown. It has our logo. But that's the only reference to Wrist Enthusiast. And we wanted to create, it's a 41 millimeter diver, but it's only 47 millimeters lug to lug. So it's actually pretty wearable. And we wanted to create something that was kind of like a mixture of modern and vintage inspired. So like the flat link bracelet, which we're actually improving upon for the production model. And then, obviously the creamy indexes. And then we have which I think is the best part, I think, is the dial. We have this kind of like aqua, green, bluish dial, which gradients out to black on the outside, and 200 meters of water resistance. We're only making 100 of these.
What kind of movement is inside
It's a
here?
Sellita SW200, so it's Swiss made. We're only making 100 with this dial variation. We're more than half sold out at this point.
Wow. Dude, congrats. First
you.
watch, half sold out. The dial is stunning. It reminds me, like, as you get deeper into water, like it gets darker in color. Like, it has that fume style.
Yeah.
I noticed it's a sandwich dial as well.
Sandwich dial. I really
That's
love
my
sandwich
favorite part,
dial.
yeah.
Yeah. So, good loom. We're going to be looming the pip also, which on these, this is a prototype. So there's some, like the bracelet, we're actually we're tapering 2 more millimeters. We're changing out the buckle because I don't love the buckle. And we're chamfering the edges and polishing so I think that will kind of like bring the watch together even a little bit.
So
more.
the pre-orders you have is going to be all those new improvements.
All the new
mentioning.
improvements.
That's
on
cool.
it, yeah, and we're hoping to ship out the production models end of June or so. So I guess this leads into what we're talking about today. We're going to talk a little bit about Wren, I guess. And I know you, Derek, have some questions.
Yeah, actually, since we all have dive watches, let's test the bezels on Mike.
Okay.
So, how do you want to do this? Should I mention what watch we're doing first, or let people guess what watch it is? So there's 3 watches. There's a Tudor.
Or should they vote for which watch they like best without knowing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we'll do like 1, 2, and 3.
So we're gonna do it in post-production, and then we'll tell afterwards.
I can just put it up to the mic and just turn the bezel, and then just like, how does that sound? How does this sound? How does that sound?
Okay, will they be able to? We have to like hide what you have.
Oh, does anyone?
this is on camera.
Okay, we'll do it in post then. Yeah, we'll do it in post. Yeah.
Or we can just do it and have people vote and like.
Okay. All right. Let's just do it.
Which one you like best?
Okay.
So we'll each do one.
We should switch watches then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's underneath
we
the
can't have
table.
We can't have the watch we came
You're
in with.
not gonna be able to do mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can't have what
Okay.
you still.
Okay. Whatever.
Okay. I got one. Ben got one. Craig got one. All right. So who wants to go first?
I'll
You're gonna
go
rotate.
first.
Basically, you're gonna rotate the bezel. We're gonna ask people to rate the bezel sound
Yeah.
from 1 to 3. Like, who sounds the best
Okay.
without knowing what watch is what, and then we'll say.
So who's going first?
Before we do it,
Yeah.
mine doesn't make a sound. Because they didn't make a sound back then, but that could be the joke. If we want, I don't know.
Well, now you're giving it away.
Yeah.
It's like, ready?
I make.
Okay, what'd you guys think?
Okay. So which bezel sounds the best? I'll start.
Okay.
This is
Go
one.
for it.
So hopefully.
Press and turn.
There's not really
That
much
sounds
going.
awesome.
Wow, so crisp.
So Chris.
You don't get crispier than that. All right, I'll go next.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Bring it closer.
Wow.
I think you're gonna have to put it right up to the mic.
Yeah, right there.
Nice.
Okay.
I feel like someone's gonna be listening to this in their car and they're like,
What the is it breaking?
Don't put it on. I have to cut that.
And then now I'm gonna do mine. You guys can hear this, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
I couldn't hear the other two when you guys were turning the bezel.
Yeah.
All right, that was number 3.
Number 3. So
vote 1, 2, or 3. So, and then we'll reveal whose was whose later. Yeah, you can vote.
Like the Wren Diver One. Oh, I said
nobody knows what that is.
Well, no one knows what that one
So
is.
don't say a number.
Yeah.
I'm biased, so
You like yours?
I like mine.
I do like your bezel a lot. The Wren bezel is very tight and like flush to the case.
Yeah.
It does have good action. I like the coin edge grip. It's easy to grab. Is this ceramic on top too?
No, it's sapphire.
Sapphire? Very
Because
cool.
I thought like ceramic is a little bit modern.
So if you do sapphire, can you loom all the indices or just the pip?
Yeah, we can, but maybe we'll. I have an idea
cool.
for a watch that I'm getting on a call this afternoon with our manufacturer.
Oh, cool.
Because I have 2, not to give anything away, but I have 2 prototypes coming of potentially the next 100 and 100.
Oh wow.
So we're doing 300 at least the start of the Diver One, but with 100 of each different dial variations. The third one I'm not necessarily sold on, and I have an idea for something which I think will be really cool. But I told you about it, but I don't want to give it away. It's under embargo.
Okay.
So I can tell you off air. But yeah, so we have some good ideas.
I'll tell you things because we're doing like a live review. I'll tell you
Yeah.
things that I like about the watch. First, you can tell that this watch is designed by an enthusiast because there are things that are just done right off the bat that I think a lot of people, when they talk about dive watches, they are like wishing it had. Obviously, the bezel is a good point because everyone wants to test the action. Usually, even in my own store, like we don't even wrap the Seikos anymore because everyone wants to try the bezel before they buy. And I'm like, there's no point to wrap all these and then unwrap it. So that's a good point. I actually like that it's all brush finished. And there's a lot of times companies will do a lot more high polish on the sides. Even my watch has like a band of high polish on the side, which I think is kind of unnecessary. They're trying to like make it a little bit more fancy when, you know, the inspiration is a tool watch.
Yeah.
Your lollipop seconds hand is a nice touch. I noticed that. The sword hands is really cool. I think it's a good combination together. And you have like 4 lines of text. So Wren, the bird logo, and then automatic, and then the depth meters.
Yeah.
And then is it because it's a USA made that you put 660 feet first instead of 200 meters?
Yeah.
So all the little details.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm noticing it.
Like we didn't want to put like New York or, you know, anything. We have like Swiss made, obviously, but yeah, 660 feet first because we're in the US. You know, it's a weird number, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I always love that like joke online. It's like Americans would use anything but the metric system. It's like how many buses does it take to get to the moon? And then they're like they just won't use centimeters.
We'll do maybe we'll do a US only version where we don't even put the meters on it.
It's just 660 feet. People will have a fit about that. It looks balanced now because it starts off like a pyramid, like top logo, and then it widens out towards the end. Yeah, you did a great job for a first watch.
If you look at the back, we did this like hydraulic press of like an accurate depiction of like a deep hydraulic press of a Wren, which like that's what a Wren actually looks like. And you know, it's a Sellita SW200 movement. To me, a lot of brands will put display case backs for that, but this, first of all, is a dive watch. Second of all, the Sellita SW200, don't get me wrong, Sellita SW200 is a great workhorse movement. A lot of brands use it, but it's not that pretty a movement that you need to like really showcase it. So for me, I thought, you know, doing a deep press.
You also make it, the watch could be thinner then.
Yeah.
I think the dimensions of the watch are pretty good already because usually I can't wear 41. That's like already my upper limit. This wears fine on my wrist. You mentioned it's like 47 lug to lug. And with the end link, it probably just comes out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think the things that I would improve, that is things you've already mentioned, like tapering the bracelet.
Yep.
I think that's something people ask for any watch, regardless of a diver. But even without the taper, the bracelet is fine.
Yeah.
Like as a construction. And then putting lume on the bezel is something I would. I mean, that's like the basic. I also like the engraved crown. Some brands don't even put a logo on the crown as well.
Well, I wanted, like, I'm not trying to hide the fact that this is like part of the Wrist Enthusiast ecosystem, but as I said, I don't want to like hit you over the head with it. So
100%.
And so I thought that was like kind of like a nice way to have a call out without it being, you know, a lot of blogs, and we've had discussions with brands to do these brand like collaborations, and you know, that's great, but like you don't have like as much creative control over it. And one of the reasons why I did this, in addition to just like wanting to design something of my own, is because, and I think as like all creators can attest to, the watch industry is tough. And like coming up with a way to like even like monetize your own like business as like a watch journalist or watch creator can be like very difficult. And so like being creative about doing something you love, but also being able to like make it into a business, you know, that to me is kind of one of the hardest parts of being in this industry. And you come from like a little bit different of an area.
Honestly, I can't imagine the like tremendous amount of challenges you have to go to bring your own product to this industry when there's a lot of major brand names already. That's why I'm saying like you're doing a great job, like phenomenal, because it's really hard to do that. And like for me, I sell a lot of, and I think most people, when they think of watches, we sell a lot of already branded goods. They're already produced by someone, but not like, you're technically considered like a independent already, just because you have your own brand, your own watch. And like I said, I love that you have things that only a wrist enthusiast would want in their watch. Well, I actually think the sandwich dial is one of my favorite things. Yeah. You don't see that a lot
on divers.
And then what's the price again on this?
So it's $8.95.
Damn. Yeah, that's good value.
So Swiss-made diver, 200 meters of water resistance. I think $8.95.
Ben's like, I got to take a second look at this.
I know. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's like $8.95.
But yeah, like you said, when I was designing this, I wanted to do something. Obviously, like you want to create something that you would wear and that you like. But you also like there's also constraints with like what kind of has somewhat of mass appeal. There's some design like when you start getting into these crazy like independents that release their first watch and are like crazy. And I just bought one. I just bought a Colloquium, which I think is super cool. But that's like a lot more of a bold like decision, and you don't know how it's necessarily going to work out. So I wanted to create something that was like accessible in the mind to a lot of people, but also had something that was a little bit different. And we went with like it's like the little things, the sandwich dial, and obviously the color of the dial is like more bold than you like may find on like a tip. Like this is like I love both of these watches, but this is black dial and this is like a gray dial, and you see like a lot of that on divers. And so doing this kind of like greenish blue was like where I thought like we went back and forth multiple times with different colors. Like first was too green and the indexes were too yellow, and I was like, the indexes are too yellow. This looks awful, looks cheap. So we went back and forth and we're like, okay, we'll make it a little bit more blue because green has a lot of yellow in it, and that also makes the indexes look more yellow. So it was too, and so we also made the indexes more cream colored. So it's kind of like making it more cream color, and then also making the dial a little bit more blue. And so there's like a lot of back and forth, and a lot of people are kind of like, oh, it looks the same to me or something. But when you're looking at it, you can like you really have to go back and forth and make sure you get something that you like.
One thing that I found fascinating about doing all of this too, and like putting this together, is like from the outsider's perspective, somebody that collects them, like all the work that goes into it, all the different times you've spoken to people and you're designing and you're like, it's crazy. So like, it's pretty awesome that like you're sitting watch here. Like, no, seriously, that's not just saying that. Like, that's like really cool. Like that is.
And then it's like getting it out there, right? Like even myself with like a platform, you don't know like how it's going to sell. And then you need to like get people to review it, get people to look at it. And, so, that like once you have the watch, like, okay, damn, now I need to make sure people buy it because, producing something like this, like we could have gone on Kickstarter, but I also think that there's like a little bit of a stigma with Kickstarter brands. And I don't want to be the brand that started on Kickstarter. So we're just like funding it from like the money like that I have, I
think that was a smart move because you already have a following and an audience of people who trust you and come to you for watch related industry news and reviews and that sort of thing. So it's good that you're able to just use your own, like, hey, I've been looking at watches for years now. I want to come up with my own design. I actually want to segue because I just finished watching Teddy and Kevin O'Leary's video, and I think you were telling us in text like, oh, wow, I can't believe I placed at the top 2. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you like
we'll
the behind the scenes about that. Yeah. Like, how did that feel for you? Because it was totally unbiased. It was our first time seeing the other contestants, and Wren was in the top 2. That's a finalist right there.
Yeah. I mean,
for a first watch too. And some of the other brands that were out there had watches previously. Obviously, it's all dependent on what Kevin's taste is. It is subjective in a sense, but how did that all feel for you?
So that whole process was like a little bit interesting. So I actually went down to Cleveland to interview Teddy for the opening of his Cleveland store. And I'll link to that video below also. And I had wanted to show him this watch. I had met him like maybe I think once before. And so after the interview, I was like, I'd love for you to review it, if you have a chance. And he said, actually, it was a Sunday. He was like, he said, if you, I know this is really short notice, but if you leave the watch with me, because I brought it, we have Kevin O'Leary coming in, and we're going to have a bunch of small brands pitch like their watch in a 60-second video to him, and then he's going to give his thoughts on it. But he said he needed the video by Tuesday, end of day Tuesday. So I asked him, I said, well, can I get you the video at 12 at midnight on Tuesday or Wednesday? He said, sure. And then I said, well, what about 3 a.m. Wednesday? He said, okay. So I left the watch with him, and then I went home, and Monday and Tuesday I actually filmed it twice because I wasn't happy with the video the first time. Well, yeah. Some of my friends and family that I showed it to told me to redo it.
That's always the best way to get like a pulse on like how you actually think. It's like ask your friends and family, and they'll give you the most, what's it called, like direct answer.
Yeah.
Like I show my wife Katrina things all the time. She's like, I don't think you should post that. I'm like, well, I think it's great. She's like, no, it's not you. And I'm like, and later in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. They're always right.
Yeah, they're always right.
And so I left the watch with him, and this was 3 or 4 months ago. And it's funny because after that video, after he shot this with Kevin, I actually ended up interviewing Kevin like a month or two later, but my video came out first.
Yeah.
So when the time of shooting this with Kevin, I'd never met Kevin, but then afterwards I met him, and he didn't, and I talked to him about it, but he didn't tell me how I ranked or anything. And then I was in Geneva for Watches and Wonders, and I was at a brand dinner, and Teddy was at the same brand dinner, and he says to me, he's like, not to give anything away, but I think you'll be really happy with, we actually did a ranking of all the watch brands. I think you'll be really happy with where, Wren was ranked. And that's all he gave me. And so it ended up coming, like, I wanted to do more press for the brand, and I did a few things, but I kind of wanted to wait and see what happened with this video. So I also, wanted some available when the video went live, because I know Teddy has such enormous reach in the YouTube space. And so I knew it was going live on like this past Saturday at 10 a.m. And I'm just watching it, and they're doing the elimination, and they all keep getting eliminated, and Wren is still there. And, I would have loved to be first, but, I'm not going to be upset with placing second on our first watch when we literally only have one watch available to set for sale. So it was really cool. It was really exciting. It kind of just validated that, the design works, and that people like it, and that it's something that, people want.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, even just a backstory, I didn't realize that, because Teddy's video came out like this week, right? And
yeah,
I remember you told me you filmed with Kevin O'Leary already. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe I thought in his video Kevin would have been like, oh, I just interviewed with him. Well, he made some kind of mention to it.
Yeah.
But now that you mentioned that actually Teddy and Kevin recorded first,
yeah,
talking about Wren before you actually sat down with Kevin.
Yeah.
It makes it more fun because now it's more unbiased. Because I think that's cool because like he didn't know you before, and then you interviewed him like a month later or so.
Teddy actually put in a good word for me because I'd been trying to set up an interview with Kevin through one of his like manager, and after our interview, when he came afterwards, he said, oh yeah, I said some nice things about you. So I think that helped actually get the interview with Kevin, which is also a cool experience.
I feel like people could make a whole channel just about behind the scenes of Teddy.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Like,
but and this is not trying to suck up to Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy is as nice in person, and you know this because you've met him, as he appears in his videos. We were filming at his store, which had just opened, and at that point they weren't open on Sundays. I don't know if they are now. They had a lot of traffic coming by where they the whole day were kind of saying, well, maybe we need to be open on Sundays. But people would come. We were shooting something outside. He'd let them browse, and we'd wait for them. In New York, no one would wait. Be like, get out of the way. We were shooting something. He'd wait. He let some younger kids that were interested in watches come in and browse the store and talk to them while they were closed and while we were kind of like in the shoot mode. And, he's just super nice and willing to kind of engage with everyone, which I thought was awesome. Like really cool. It's like, to see someone that is just as nice in person as they appear to be on like YouTube or on television or, in the media, it's nice to like see that.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are all nice gentlemen yourself. But I never thought you weren't. So that's always a good thing.
Don't cross me though.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like some people, when someone appears nice or like really nice on like YouTube or something, you always get that hate. Oh, they can't be like that in person. They must be, this is all an act, but it's not for a lot of people, fortunately, in this industry.
I always see, like I have a lot of friends who watch content who are not into watches, and the channel that they watch is Nico, actually. Yeah. And they're always like, oh, he has like the most unabashed, opinions about things. Yeah. But like when I see Nico on his channel, I'm like, he seems like a really nice guy, and I feel like part of it is just this persona he puts on for entertainment, and he knows, not to say that it's fake, but like I've seen other videos where he would like, I think he was on Teddy's channel. Of course, we're gonna bring back that. He was doing like the end of the year, and then the way he was just like naturally on camera, I was like, yeah, this dude is a nice dude in person. If you were to talk to him,
I haven't actually met Nico. I think I've seen him from afar, but never actually met him.
I saw him at Watches and Wonders this year. I wanted to walk up to him and do a video, but he was kind of like talking in a meeting with someone. So I was like, okay, like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, kind of thing.
And another person that sometimes appears, maybe not the nicest, that's super nice in person, is Kevin O'Leary. Is actually really nice in person. I mean, he has that like Shark Tank persona, you're dead to me, I'm gonna squat, like what this brand's gonna squash you like the cockroach that you are. But sitting down and maybe part of it is that investing in your business is a different mindset than him talking watches, which he clearly is passionate about. But sitting down and talking to him about it, like he can go on and share his collection with you and talk watches for so long, and it's such an easy conversation. So a lot of people don't, I guess, don't understand that sometimes something's a little bit of a persona, and a lot of these people are just actually really cool and nice people.
Yeah, I want to like snowball off what you just said, because you said that, when you see Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank, he's a totally different personality versus like talking to him about watches. And I think that actually relates to our industry, because you'll see when a lot of people review products, I think when most people are looking at a product, they're a customer first. They're thinking about, if I'm going to put my own money to buy this, would I buy it? And that's why people have strong opinions, because when there's money involved, when your own money is on the table, obviously you're going to have stronger opinions. I think that's where Kevin comes from on Shark Tank versus, if you're just showing him watches, he's not like having the mindset that he has to buy or invest in anything. He's going to be more natural. But like, watch reviewers, when a new watch comes out, like, what's it called? Crador came out with that new Gerald Genta re-release of the Locomotive last night, and I could already see the comments before they were typed, because I think the people who are leaving these comments are passionate people who love watches, and they're thinking, if I'm going to put my own money on it, this is how I feel about the design. And I think that makes the difference of like what makes someone a good reviewer is you have to put yourself in the mindset like, because when you make a review about a product, someone's going to trust you at the end of the day, whether they should put their money in on it too. You have to kind of put yourself in that same shoes. I find that sometimes maybe I struggle to do that properly. Sometimes I want to be like just objective, but there are a lot of times people want me to be more like harsh or like provide more criticism on stuff. And I'm working on like finding ways where I can balance, like, I don't want to come off too over critique. I don't really critique much. And a lot of people always say like, oh, you don't talk about this brand. You only talk about the brands you like. And I'm like, well, why would I spend time making content on stuff I don't want to talk about?
And then you're going to say you don't like it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I don't like it anyway. Do you guys feel the same about that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, for me, I try, like, so I review a lot of brands, and sometimes I review brands that I might not buy, but I try to put myself in the perspective of a buyer for that watch. What would they want to know about it? So sometimes a watch may not be a watch that I would put my money into, but when I'm doing that review, you can't just be, well, I don't like it for me. Someone that wants Hublot, for example, you got to try and tailor that review to what they're looking to get out of it, more so than just completely bashing the brand. Does that make sense? It's like offering critiques of it, quality, all this stuff, and maybe you can say, well, maybe this design is not something that I would wear in a daily wear, but if you're looking for this, and that, then it could be a good option for you. I
find that most critiques that happen from, I would say, like us, is going to be directly to the brand off camera before they ask us for a review.
100%.
They'll be like, what do you think about this? And we'll tell them straight to their face, oh, this, you should think about doing this. You should think about doing that.
Yeah.
I think people are going to ask for that. But then when they ask us to review it, we're also under some agreements where, okay, we should think about, if you're going to come in and obviously say not nice things, you're probably not going to get invited back.
Yeah.
And not just from that brand, but that brand might be in a group. And let's say that brand is Cartier and they're in Richemont. Now you just lost the opportunity to review all the other brands.
Yeah.
So you have to like play the game a little bit. But then I think for the viewer, like at the end of the day, if you're the viewer, you're someone who wants to buy the watch, then you need to get like a pool of multiple people's opinions. Don't just rely on one person, not even myself. Like that's why we have us three here together.
You only need our three opinions.
No, that's it.
That's all you need.
I agree with you. Also, I think like I don't make enough videos, so like I'm making 30 in a month, for example, one a day. So when I am making them, like I'm making it on the stuff that I like.
Yeah.
So I find that I don't but if something does happen where like I feel very strongly that I don't like it, I will post it. And it's especially like something that is either like dishonest or hiding. I like to make videos on that because I like people to understand, like, if I don't like a watch, that's probably just because I don't like the design or something like that. But when it's something like this movement, or I'm not going to say anybody in particular, but like I'm going to say something about it because I think that for the outside consumer that's looking to buy, they might not pick up on that. And it's like, for me, it's important that they do.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, to your point, how all over the place.
You need those people in the industry as well that are willing to kind of say things. If someone's being dishonest about how
it's hard to find.
Watch, it is hard to find. From my perspective, I think I fit a lot with what Derek is saying. If a brand comes to me and wants me to review something, but I don't think I can really say anything nice about it, I just will politely decline to review it, because I don't and maybe, because my opinion, first of all, my opinion is not the be all end all of watch reviewing, and also a lot of these are small businesses, and I don't want to go out there and completely bash something and hurt their business for it. If it's not for me, it's not for me. I try and review things that I like, that I would wear, that I potentially would buy, and if there's some issue, like I had a watch where the micro adjustment was slipping a little bit, I'll say that. I'll say, like, if like you said, if the bracelet needs a little bit more taper, which we're doing, I'll say things like that. But overall, I need to like the watch a little bit. I need to be more positive about it than negative if I'm going to review it.
Yeah, I think like earlier what Ben was saying about, I've seen some of your videos where you put out your opinion on something and it might not be the most positive, but I feel like that's where a lot of your audience comes from too, in a way, because like we mentioned, there's not a lot of people who will come out and say things that should be said. And that's why your voice is also really needed in the industry. And that's why I think that you're successful, is because you can give this opinion that people are looking for. Like sometimes people just like want it straight to them.
Yeah.
We're all New Yorkers. Like, we
Yeah.
don't have to fluff up too much, but like, I think that's what makes your content so great, is you can just be like, look, I don't know how I feel about this. And you kind of leave it open-ended. Like it's not an end all be all too. And I like that you create this discussion for people to kind of add on. I want to ask, like, do you notice, cause on the content strategy side, do you notice that like any content performs a little bit more engaging when you have those kind of stronger opinion videos, or, like,
Oh yeah.
what do you have to say about that?
For me at least, like I used to do a lot more sort of like, this is what I don't like essentially negative stuff. I've gone away from that a little bit because I just find that that's not as much me. I'm much more of a positive person, but when something is negative, I still do bring it up.
He's really negative off screen, actually.
Really, I'm so negative. The most negative person ever. But I find that when you do post something, a negative review, you probably triple your comments.
Yeah.
It does translate views, but I just see so much more of a discussion and engagement when you're speaking strongly about something.
Yeah.
So that I'm surprised that there aren't more of those people speaking negatively about stuff, but I certainly see more.
I think it's hard because, like we were mentioning earlier, if you're someone, not you specifically, but like if you are someone who talks like very honest opinion and it can come off very negative, over time brands are not going to like want to work with you.
Yeah.
But then those creators will go out of their own way to get product hands-on, but they're not going to be able to get firsthand or invited to certain events. And eventually I think the industry would just want their voice to just kind of dissipate, but there will always be like loyal followers of that creator or individual who makes that kind of content. I mean, we can all think of them off the top of our head that we know, but I mean, I'm not here to mention anything, but
It's hard with
It's
all
hard.
that.
Name names, Derek.
yeah.
Well, it's just-
Derek Mon is one of them.
Come on, is so negative.
So negative.
Well, that's why it's just such a different. I'm the newest, of the three of us. Like, I just didn't know that about everything. Like, you couldn't be, not that you can't be objective because everybody is to a certain extent. It's just like, it's interesting the way it works. Where if you speak poorly, you might not go to one thing or the other. I just choose to speak about the stuff I like. Yeah. So in turn, it's always positive.
Yeah.
Like if you don't see me talking about a brand, generally speaking, I might not like them as much. Like that's just how it works essentially. Yeah.
That's how I feel too. It's like, why waste time?
Yeah.
Like it takes time and energy to film and produce a video. It's like, why would I spend X amount of hours to make something that I'm not even going to be proud of because I don't like it?
Yeah. You wouldn't buy it with your own money.
I wouldn't buy it. So why would I? Unless they like wronged me or something, like, then I'll go out of my way. But there's nothing personal there. It's just
the Minutemon's revenge tour.
Yeah, revenge tour.
Yeah.
Coming next week or next month.
Yeah.
Just
my God.
Everyone that's wronged Derek over the years.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean reviews. Luckily, we've had some pretty good reviews of this one, so no one said no to a review yet.
Yeah.
So hopefully that means
I might have been the first review.
You were the first review.
I think I was first, yeah. That was a while ago.
We have to get you to review it.
I'm going to review it. Yeah.
Why don't you get the new bracelet? I'll give you
Okay.
I should get that next week.
I'm going to shoot some video and stuff on it today because
Okay.
like I'm excited to have this in store.
Yeah.
And then, like I love what you did with it.
Thank you.
What color is the loom? Is it green?
It's green.
Okay, cool. Green.
There is
It's
one.
green or blue I really like.
Yeah.
I mean-
There's one that I want to do, and I was telling Ben about it, that will have blue loom. But I'll tell you when we're done filming.
Yeah.
What the two kind of next iterations are of the Diver one.
I find blue loom in general just really hard to make it bright.
Yeah.
Because I have some watches with blue loom. Like, okay, a watch I really like that I picked up last year was the Zenith Chronomaster Collective Edition.
Yeah.
It has
That's
blue
sick.
loom.
Yeah.
I love that watch. The loom is not very strong. That's something that I wish was stronger.
So green and white are the strongest?
I
or-
think green is the strongest.
Yeah. Is white stronger than blue, or?
Well, I don't know if it comes out white like that.
Yeah,
like
it's a
actually
little-
when it's in darkness, Blue is hard to do, and also like my Vacheron Overseas, the blue lume is not that strong either.
Yeah, blue is stronger than when you get into like orange and other colors, I think.
I think Rolex's Chromalight, their blue is really strong.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to get to that
Omega's,
level.
I'm a C
Omega's
Masters.
blue too, and also Seiko when they do blue, because they all have like their own proprietary.
Yeah.
Whether it's Lumibright, Chromalight, or Super Luminova.
Yeah, this is Super Luminova.
Yeah.
So, because that's like what you can kind of get as an independent.
Yeah. No, but
Unless you
that
go with,
works
like, Black
perfectly.
Badger or something.
But
Yeah.
that works perfectly. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to change that.
Yeah.
You know, green is great.
So I'm really happy about it. If you want to buy one of these, so we sell them at wristenthusiast.com, and we'll put a link. But we also have a website for Wren, wrenwatches.com, which when you go to shop, it links you back to wristenthusiast.com. It's the first product on wristenthusiast.com's store. So I was debating whether to sell it just through Wren or sell it through Wrist Enthusiast, but we figure we should keep everything.
Make it a little separate.
Well, we should keep all the stores, the shop on wristenthusiast.com.
Makes
So
sense.
for now, it's being sold just on wristenthusiast.com.
When did this officially launch? Like, what was the embargo date when you announced it?
It was a couple months ago. And I just like didn't spend with Watches and Wonders and everything else, and knowing that this Teddy video was coming out, I had a couple of reviews. Ben did something. Watch Chris did a review of it, and we sold a bunch at that point, and then I kind of didn't do much with it. There's also just a lot of changes at Wrist Enthusiast with the business and who was kind of involved in the business and everything. So there's just a lot of stuff going on. And now that the Teddy video is out, I've really full steam ahead, started reaching out to other blogs. We were featured in an Inside Hook, best dive watch of 2024 article. That was
Nice.
That was really cool. And we have some other features coming out, so more reviews and all of that stuff. But it's been in development for over a year.
I mean, it came at the right time just because, summer in New York has just, we just passed Memorial Day, which is where you can start wearing white pants.
Yeah.
And then Labor Day, you're not allowed to wear white anymore, apparently.
Impossible. No.
So, obviously, even in my store, like, we see an uptick in dive watches.
Dive watches, yeah.
As soon as May hits, like, dive watches all the way till August end of August.
I have one coming coming Dive watch.
Oh, you have a new one coming.
Okay,
Yes.
Are you going to mention it, or are you going to wait till next episode?
Yeah.
How about you give us hints, we'll guess, and the next episode you reveal it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite. It's
episodes
one of my
from
favorite
now.
brands. That's all.
One of your favorite brands. Well, he mentioned Tudor at the beginning, so.
Yeah.
It could.
Oh wait, I think I know what it is
Pelagos.
because I saw one of your videos. The
I
FXD.
said in the video what it was.
Tudor Pelagos.
Yeah.
Oh, I
right?
thought you got it already. How did you make a video saying you got it? But I guess you pre-ordered.
You ordered
No.
it? It
No.
just hasn't shipped to you yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Or it hasn't. It's shipping literally probably in the next hour.
Did you buy it from Tudor?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. But I can
Tudor,
explain why in the
show
next
my
video.
boy Ben some love.
Yeah.
Give him that sweet discount.
Yeah.
I'll be doing the next video. I'll say it in the next.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it before, like this version of the
Right.
FXD.
It's
That's the one you're getting,
it's
right?
Unbelievable.
It's the blue dial, or
No, I'll say it. So I'm getting the black. No, so I like the FXD. So I have this, and I love Tudor.
Yeah.
But I want something that I could wear in the summer, and if I'm gonna go swimming, and I just have a weird lifestyle in the summer where I'm traveling and going to the beach. It's just weird. It's
That's
just
so- that's so weird.
So
No
strange.
one does that.
Yeah, I
No, but,
usually
like,
ski in the
one,
summer.
No one travels and goes to the
well,
beach during the
if you're
summer.
not
It's very weird.
if you're not a New Yorker, I think it's hard. Like even like growing up in New Jersey was very different. Like every weekend I'm in like a different beach town because it's like I'm with my friends or I'm like I can't even explain it. But like, so I wanted something that could kind of do everything, and so I got the Pelagos 39 really quick. Got the Pelagos 39. I love it, but it's so similar to that, and it's for somebody that is getting their go everywhere, do anything watch.
Yeah.
And that's not what I wanted for. I want something super sporty. So I went to the store, tried on the FXD, fell in love with it, and then I sold my Pelagos 39, and then literally last
the
night.
FXD is the one with the
Fixed-
the fixed lugs
The
or
fixed
whatever,
bars, yeah, that's why
and lugs.
FXD. And then the whole bezel has the, I don't know what the graduation.
Countdown bezel, right?
Yeah, the entire bezel's that.
Oh, and it's loomed as well.
Loom, yes, I think it's loomed. Although 39's loomed, so I'm assuming the FXD is loomed. I didn't check in the store, but the strap is the best part.
Yeah.
It's like this Velcro.
yeah.
It's like I tried it on thinking I was gonna like it, and I was like, yeah, this is the one.
Is it titanium too?
Titanium,
Yeah, so it's lightweight.
titanium bezel too.
You'd be surprised to hear this. I actually had the Pelagos 39 last year too, and I also sold it like maybe after a month of owning it. I think on paper it's like a perfect watch, but for someone like me, it just like it almost came off like too plain to me.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
It's like so good, but it's like just too plain for me. And I know I have a lot of people that I know that have that watch and they love it, and I think they did a great job. But to me, it was just like
when you have a lot
okay.
of watches, it's a good one for like somebody buying their first under 5,000 to get that like fixed. But like now that I have so many watches and something that's literally just like the older version of it, I'm like, I don't need that anymore.
Yeah, and I think for me, I like the Pelagos too because it's like the serious diver for Tudor. But if I was getting that go anywhere, do anything watch from Tudor, I'd go for like a Black Bay 54 or 58 probably before, because I feel like you can just dress that up and down a little bit more, where the Tudor, they're both Tudors, the Pelagos is more of like a sporty tool watch.
It's a tool watch. That's how they made it.
But I mean, like the Black Bay is technically a tool watch, and you can dive and stuff with it, but it's, if that's your one watch.
I have a question I want to swing by you guys. So I saw at Watches and Wonders, Tudor came out with the Black Bay 58, the Coke, the GMT. Yeah. I made a video on my whole experience at Watches and Wonders, and in my video, I had made a comment, and a lot of people were kind of like split on it about that watch. And I said, I really love that watch, but for some reason, I wish that the bezel was a regular dive bezel, 60-minute countdown, instead of a GMT bezel. Because when I think of the 58 line, I think of a diver watch. Like, it would be like, to me, that would be the perfect go anywhere, do anything. You can track your second time zone, and then when you're in the water, you can use the bezel for regular timing things. But because it has more of that pilot style, like that, it looks like the Black Bay GMT, but smaller.
Yeah.
And I don't know. For me, I would have wished to have a regular 60-minute bezel, because that bezel on the Black Bay 58 is amazing. The 60 click. Yeah. I think it's one of the best in the industry.
Yeah, I agree.
No, and on the 54 too. Like, I'm gonna disagree with you on that, because there are so many Tudor dive watches.
But not with a GMT hand.
Well, not with a GMT hand. But there's not as many Tudor GMTs, and I think people have been calling for a 39 millimeter GMT, and it's like master chronometer certified, and only a few $100s more than the Black Bay GMT. So I prefer it this way, just because there's not as big a catalog of GMTs and Tudors. Because if I'm buying a GMT now from Tudor, I have a Pepsi, but if I'm buying a GMT from Tudor, I'm going with the 39.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just a better size, and so I'd be getting that as like a GMT travel watch. So I disagree with you, but I can see as someone that's probably a dive watch guy that wants a GMT hand on it too. I can see why you would want that, but I disagree.
Okay, cool.
I like where you're coming from. I don't know how it would like you would keep the Coke bezel, but it would just be a dive bezel.
So I think the idea with a Coke bezel, I mean, there's two ways I thought about it. It's like on normal dive watches, up to 15 minutes. None of ours do this, but up to 15 minutes, it would be like a different color. Yeah. You could do the red Coke on the 15 minutes, and then the rest would be all black. Yeah. And you can see it on the line indications on the minute marking on the vintage Tudor you have here. So that's one way. Otherwise, you could just do all the indices in red, and maybe loomed, or like do something really cool there.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know. I would have to like actually mock it up. But
the whole other thing could be like
you can design a Wren GMT diver.
Yeah, maybe I'll design the next Wren diver of what I would like to see in a diver watch.
I would love to see too if these brands, like you said, like mix and matching, came out with a couple of different bezels and you could flip them on and off. But that's the whole discussion for the video.
That would be pretty cool.
But that's what they.
You're diving and your bezel flies off and you don't know how much time you have left in your oxygen.
There's one brand that does it. I forget the brand that does it where you can change the bezels. I think it's Formex.
Yeah, I think I saw
really
that.
cool, like micro brand. They're kind of getting big.
I was having.
And if they don't do it, you should do it now.
Yeah,
we just mentioned it.
Yeah.
I was having drinks with Zach Windover, whatever.
Yeah.
His Instagram is.
Oh, yeah.
He just got a Formex.
Yeah.
39.
It's
Cool.
nice. Yeah, it's nice.
So both of you are saying keep it with the 24-hour bezel.
But add something new. I think the 39 GMT like in a classic formation was something people have been calling for.
Yeah.
So now that you have it, maybe now you can kind of.
Okay, I agree with you on that statement because I wasn't thinking in terms of like the landscape of how the releases went.
Yeah.
And when you mention it in that way, it makes more sense that people have been asking for this watch already.
Yeah.
They're not asking for one with the die bezel yet.
Yeah.
But, the watch that made me think about that is last year Longines came out with the Hydro Conquest GMT.
Yeah.
And Seiko came out with a bunch of Diver GMT, but they weren't true GMTs. Like you have to set the date and the GMT hand separately.
Yeah.
I find that, kind of annoying for a GMT branded watch, where Longines was an actual true GMT. So you can jump the local hour hand forwards or backwards. And then the bezel was a regular dive bezel. And I wish they made that in 39. They did 41. And then this year, Longines did 43. So that's why I was like, man, now if Tudor did that, that would be really, really cool. But I think because of their historical tie-ins, maybe some people view a Diver GMT as like a vacation watch, and it doesn't sound like a tool watch that Tudor would produce. It sounds like a consumer product more than it does like a product like, made for that industry.
Maybe you can do the normal 24-hour bezel and then do like the rehot with like internal bezel that turns in a 60 die bezel. Or dive rehot. You know how some brands do it on the inside, like the Royal Oak offshore diver.
Yeah.
So like have both. And
Man,
one be.
That's gonna be 43 millimeters though. As soon as you mention it, I know that's not 39.
Oh no, it's one of my favorite divers ever. The Longines Heritage Diver with the internal bezel.
Yeah.
Such a cool watch.
That is a cool one too. I mean, it's dive watch summer, so I'm sure we're gonna be talking a lot more about dive watches.
Oh yeah.
There's I don't know why, but like every summer I'm looking at a new dive watch. Even though like I consider I have like my Grail Seiko dive watch, I'm still like, man, if maybe I'll get an Omega this year.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe.
Yeah. Wren is up there now.
Awesome.
So what do we got going on the rest of the week?
For me, on a personal side, I'm like getting ready to move apartments, which is like such a pain.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm just like every day, after work, I just go home and start packing and that kind of stuff.
Ben?
Yeah. I am.
He's doing the really weird thing.
Weird.
Going to the beach.
I'm going to do stuff. I'm playing golf this weekend, which
so
is cool.
strange.
So strange.
So strange.
Ben with his strange summer plan.
And then, all my friends make fun of me for it, so that's why I call it strange. But it's probably pretty normal.
Your friends. What do your friends do during the
Yeah.
summer?
Your friends may be the strange ones.
Yeah,
in
they're
this
like
scenario.
No, I know
You're
they're
golfing?
like. Well, they're always like, "You're never here in the summer." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want."
They're trying to make you feel bad for leaving them.
Yeah.
So we all live in New York City, and it's a ghost town.
You can feel the difference in the
Yeah.
summer. Like I always love summer in New York because you can feel the energy. Like restaurants open like super late. Everyone's just outside and just
On the
enjoying the
weekends,
weather.
Everyone's gone. At least in Manhattan.
Yeah,
everyone's
Saturday is
gone.
dead.
It's
Yeah,
no
everywhere.
one's here, which is kind of nice when you actually stick around.
I love it. And then next
because-
weekend I'll be in Boston, and then the weekend after I'll be in
I'll be
Cape
Boston
Cod.
next
The weekend
weekend, too.
after it's like craziness. It's like
Maybe we can do some Boston content.
oh yeah,
I have a
I'm there
wedding
for
next
2
weekend
days,
and
but we
a
can do
family
it.
in Boston. But yeah, I'm traveling. I have weddings and stuff, and then next month going to Italy for a wedding.
Oh,
which will be
nice.
fun. So we're gonna be there for 10 days.
Where in Italy are you going?
So we're starting in Rome. I'm gonna be there for a few days, and driving up to Tuscany. Gonna be there for a few days, and the wedding's in Tuscany, and then back to Rome, and then back.
That's awesome.
I haven't been to Italy. It's on my
Really?
to go
We
list.
went last summer too, but we did kind of northern area, and that was the first time I'd been since I was like 15. So
Yeah.
it's great. So that's all we got today, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow us on our socials, which will link below, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.